Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 477. Before we jump in, we do have to go out there and talk about Gnar. I got a little distracted with the previous video. Riot came out and said expeditions will be gone, and so I kind of spent my time I would have taken talking about Gnar, piecing together a bit of a video about expeditions going away. And so let's get him pulled up for a minute. You know, he is going to be relevant in Expedition. We have through May to continue playing this format that we all love. And Gnar and friends are supposed to be making their way into Expedition. I guess it should be, today as this video comes out, and fingers crossed that they did it right. As we've had some expedition formats where, say with like Zillion just being left out of the game, and then we're still looking to see Jace in expedition. I just have my fingers crossed that the intern did everything right and managed to get all of these cards into the game. It kind of seems like the space is there for them. Like, in terms of Gnar, maybe not. It doesn't seem like there's too much out there existing, but, I'm sure there'll be like a Gnar and Udyr kind of archetype. But we did see that with the Scion archetype and them kind of building in the Rumble, but him not actually being there. Then when Rumble came out, they slotted him in. It did look like Yumi was kind of slotted in to fit with the Pantheon archetype, and so fingers crossed, all the cards will turn up. I do kind of feel like if we get there and one of these champions is missing, then I'm not surprised, but fingers crossed. And I think ultimately one of the sad things with Gnar is what ultimately, really draws me to Expedition. I shouldn't say it's one of the sad things in terms of Runeterra. It's sad in terms of kind of like card gaming in general, and how I don't feel like really that anyone has gone and really taken advantage of being in the digital landscape, as well as the LOR team has. From the things with Magic, I think Magic Arena is a complete failure. Not in terms of making money. I'm sure Wizards is making money hand over fist with Magic Arena, but I felt like that was a good space to really explore what Magic could look like in the digital space. And then they just came out and basically made Magic Online version 3, where it's just a reimagining of paper into the digital space. And they're starting to touch on it with the alchemy formats, but I feel like Wizards really dropped the ball there. Hearthstone has, of course, done some things, and Eternal has done some things, but I don't feel like anyone has really grasped the digital-only landscape like Runeterra has. And Gnar just kind of has, like, everything that you could be looking for. He's got, if you want to make the comparison to Magic, he's able to create the Pokesticks in hand, which you just can't do in a paper card game, right? It's really awkward to create a card into your hand in paper. He can reduce the cost of a card in your hand, just impossible to do in paper. He has the flip mechanic, which you can do flip cards in paper, but it requires everyone to play with sleeves, and it's just not like a natural fit for a lot of the kitchen table type of Magic. And then he just has all these great abilities and everything built in. It all thematically works with Gnar, and I really loved seeing the kind of design here. But in terms of being expedition relevant, I'm kind of skeptical. I don't think he's going to be bad, but he strikes me as someone kind of like Jinx, as to where they're like really awkward in combat, right? It's just like a 4 attack, 4 cost unit isn't that impressive. At least in terms of what you're getting out of your champions, right? If you're just dropping Bull Elnick, then fine. Bull Elnick doesn't have like a lot of big feels to him. It just feels okay. But you're expecting like a little bit more out of your champions. And I think Gnar is going to be awkward. Like maintaining this flip mechanic, getting it to flip on the turns when you want, right? Ideally, he's going to flip every turn, but you want him to be on the pokey stick side on your opponent's turn, and then on Mega Gnar on your attack token, and that is going to really determine a lot in terms of like sequencing and being able to damage your opponent's nexus, and trying to get this to flip the right way, because it feels like if you miss the flip on the wrong turn, then he's just dead the rest of the game. And so I have, I'm kind of skeptical with Gnar. I see, a lot of raw power with Udyr. The other two champions were, both realistically just support champions, with Galio being so expensive and Yuumi just being Yuumi. But with Gnar, it feels like he wants to be a build around champion, but he just doesn't have the stats and the wherewithal to do it. And so I think he'll still be okay in decks that, want created cards. He still can, come together and be a 6-attack overwhelmer, which is always nice. But I think this is going to be more awkward than powerful. And in terms of these other Bandle City cards, they don't really solve any of the problems that Bandle City has. At least these transform cards, you have Mini T and Mega T up here at the top right. The Mega T is incredibly powerful, but neither of these cards have Overwhelm, so they don't really help you win the game. The same thing applies, kind of across the board. Teeny Dactyl here in the middle row flips into the, 1 damage to the enemy Nexus. He's a pretty good deal there, but it's still not like super high powered. He doesn't help close out the games that well. This is like, I'm more interested in things like Teeny Dactyl, and then down here in the now visible row with Bitsy Lizard, as to where they're just cheaper, and it's not as bad to kind of get their flip going early. But I think these kind of expensive ones just aren't that impressive. And so I think in terms of at least an expedition, Bitsy Lizard seems incredibly powerful, especially if you get some kind of draw to where you can get this flipped on at the end of turn 2. Realistically, not going to flip until turn 3 or turn 4, but that's still a pretty good deal. And then I think people are making too big of a deal out of Giga Grump and Spotted Toad. Like, again, it's a reasonably powerful ability, but I think people are hyping this up just a little bit too far. And then in terms of these other cards, Primal Strength, we've learned our lesson with 4-mana combat tricks. They're just too expensive. We'll probably play a copy if it turns up, but I think the easy point of comparison to Primal Strength is, are we going to compare this to Standalone, which it just isn't good enough anymore, right? It gives the permanent +3/+3, but takes a lot of work, and it's not even so much the work that matters as much as it costs 4 mana. Or are we going to compare this to Riposte? And Riposte, doesn't guarantee that your unit's going to survive, but there's a pretty strong realistic expectation that your unit's going to survive after a Riposte, where that doesn't exactly live with Primal Strength. And so not a huge fan of that one there. And so the Gnar cards are fine. I think overall, in terms of all these things, I was mostly interested in the Udyr cards. I think those were the coolest ones in my books, but Gnar is what's, I think, kind of up in the air for me. I think Galio seems good and fine. Yuumi seems good and fine. Udyr seems like he's going to be the powerhouse of the set, and then Gnar kind of fills this odd space as to where it strikes me as it's tough to tell if he's going to be below average or average, and I really doubt that I'm wrong that he's going to be exceptionally good. So prove me wrong if you will, but that's where I kind of just stand on him. And so, as we go, we can move on to the trial. We got to get some wins today, man. In the previous couple videos, I think 2 videos ago, we got 1 win. In the current video, the previous video, we got 0. And we got to come up with something here to really push us above and beyond. And that something could be Braum. I'm always happy to draft Fluffed and Tuft. This archetype doesn't show up too frequently, as a lot of the newer archetypes have the baked-in appearance bonus to where they show up more frequently. Fluffed and Tuft actually shows up less frequently. This one only shows up half the time compared to a normal archetype. And so this could be our last shot. We only got 20-some of these things left. So let's make sure that we can get a Braum trial in here before it's all said and done. And so we'll get it pulled up over here on the site. If you're not familiar, we are just on ftpbus.com. Not too sure what I'll do with the site as Expedition goes away, but I do intend to collect a couple of weeks of data through the Spreadsheet 2 project and get that up to date, because I'm not fully convinced that the Riot-based spreadsheet will ever be updated again, and so I'll invest that $12 in you all to collect data for a couple of weeks. But after that, I don't really expect to do anything else with the site. I don't intend to update the tier list or do anything else with it after we get the new cards collected. I gotta, kind of figure out what I want to do in the future here, and I would rather devote the time to the future as opposed to keeping this up to date. But back to Braum here. And so, yeah, this is Braum all on his own. This is the Poro's archetype. And we always talk about a handful of decks that live with the Poros. The one that I prefer to draft, and I think the good thing to be chasing after, is the Poro snack style deck. You're just looking to load up your board with a bunch of Poros, grow them all with the Poro snacks, and then you just kind of incrementally grow over top of your opponent. And so the way that these games will typically sequence is we don't play anything the first 2 turns. Turn 3, we drop the Mighty Poro, giving the Poro snacks, and then on turn 4, we try and drop 2 or 3 or 4 Poros all on the board at the same time. And then as we roll back to our next attack token, we have this just mega board ready for another Poro snack. It's an incredibly powerful way to go about it, and it kind of works well even if the draft doesn't go in your favor. And so as long as you're able to assemble some snacks and some Poros, you can kind of do something. To whereas if we are looking to build around, say, the Iceborne Legacy or the Heart of Luft, we need a handful of things to go right. And that's where we kind of find ourselves into the other deck archetypes. If you find yourself paired off with P and Z, you can go towards the Iceborne Legacy. You can try and piece together the Iceborne Legacy Daring Poros style elusive deck that everyone loves and constructed. It is reasonable. You do need to be able to chase down Poro cannons, and so I think it's important if you're going to do that, you really got to kind of pay attention to your champion. You can't just take any P and Z champion. You need to be in the ones that have Poro cannons, and that would be like a Scrap Heap Jinx. It's probably some of the Victor archetypes, any of those things that actually have Poro cannon. Otherwise, if you're just in random P and Z, you're probably not going to find any. The next deck archetype is the Heart of Luft build around. Again, it's pretty memey. It's kind of all inny, but you can generate this really gigantic Poro. Usually crush into your opponent with like an 18-18 overwhelm. If you're going for the Heart of Fluff strategy, I recommend pairing into Targon so that you can find the Spell Shield Poro. The Spell Shield is the kind of only protection you can get for this thing. You don't want to invest in a full board of Poros, roll them into the Heart of Luft, and then just have it get hit with Will of Ionia or Vengeance. And so you really need that Spell Shield. And then the last potential deck, I really don't like it, but there is They Who Endure. You can kind of craft your strategy around just playing a bunch of lonely Poros and killing off all of your little Poros. So you can drop this big like 10-10 or 12-12 They Who Endure. And that's fine. You can realistically pull that off in a few games, but it's like every game you do pull that off, you're going to run into like 2 games to where this is a 7-mana 4/4. And so I really don't like chasing after the high roll that hard. And I think the memes are just way better with the Poro Snacks anyways. And so we usually don't look to draft that. We usually get stuck with 1 or 2, but let's see what turns up here. Okay, and so yeah, again, I intended to just draft around Braum, and so how can we best take advantage of that? I'm leaning towards just like the Sivir. The Sharima Poro isn't that good. That's where you're going to find the, if you've leveled up a champion, it gets like 2 abilities or something. And these aren't impossible champions to level up in Braum Sivir, but it's not like the best of them. But I think Sivir's fine, and it doesn't like hurt us in any way here, is where I'm not like super interested in this Heimerdinger. Like again, if I'm drafting P and Z and trying to go for the Iceborne Legacy kind of thing, I want an archetype with Poro Snacks, and I'm pretty confident Grand Moment's Heimerdinger doesn't have it. We can take a look real quick. Yeah, or not Poro Snacks, the Poro Cannon, right? If we go to someone, say like Jinx and Fishbones, you're going to have Poro Cannons in here. If we go and find, say, like Jinx and Scrap Heap, it's probably got it. It doesn't. But, right, you want one of these archetypes that actually has Poro Cannon in it. So as we're drafting through and a synergy pick comes up, we see like a Fluffed and Tuft, and we see an archetype that can have it, and then something else. We don't want our P and Z option to just never have it. And then last but not least, this Shyvana. She's okay. Like, this is enough, like, reasonably statted units in here, but I think the thing that draws me towards Sivir is being able to find cards like Exhaust and find cards like Ruthless Predator. Just things that are either, like, really cheap interactive combat tricks, or in the case of Ruthless Predator, something you can give Braum plus attack. And we don't really get that out of Demacia. We're just going to get like a bunch of well-statted units like Shyvana and Ruined Dragon Guard. I don't think there's any like real combos that are going to come out of this to really help amp up our Braum. And so Yeah, let's go with Sivir. I'm okay with that. Let's see real quick if there's any interesting cards in here that help us out. I'm not the hugest fan of this Sivir archetype. Oh man, these champions are all messed up in here. But she's trying to level up things like using hibernating rock bears to hit reputation. All in all, it's just not a real strategy. I'm looking here at our interactivity is basically all I want out of this set. I'm very happy with things like Siphoning Strike. Giving Braum the bonus attack is extremely good. Things like Boomerang Blade can be okay. It's not ideal, but it's interactive. And then there is a good combat trick in Shape Stone. And so I could see, some of these cards working. It does fill some of the gaps that we have in this archetype to where there's just no interactivity coming from Braum. And so maybe we can slot in some bits and pieces from this. Maybe we'll slap a Payday on a big Poro or something and get some stats happening that way. But okay, so what are we going to do here? This is a very Poro light set of cards. I'm looking for, Poro snacks. We're looking for the cheap ones after that. So the Poro Herder, the 1/1 that generates a Poro, and then the Mighty Poro. And so none of that lives here. I do want to really drive home that we're drafting Fluffed and Tuft, though. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Fury of the North Iceborne Legacy stack. And hopefully we can continue on to get some interactivity here. And then this pack is a disaster, right? I'm not taking Noxus. We have no need or desire to go there. We'll be taking one of these Shurima packs, but these cards are all in all pretty weak. Like Ruin Runner is the strongest out of all of these. I'm not opposed to something like Ancient Hourglass, since you can get the unit back and maybe generate another card off of it or use it to protect Braum. But both Obelisk of Power and Sandstone Chimera are pretty bad. And we're like really light on units at this point, right? We're getting up to 5 spells. We'd be going up to 7 spells with this landmark package. And so I'm going to go with the Ruin Runner. I'm not really excited about it, but I think it's the best option that we have here. All right, Iceborne Legacies, here you go. Just another real collection of turds here, right? I don't want the Rock Bear Ricochet. The Sandswept Tomb is okay, but both the Tomb and the Sandcrafter are kind of off theme. I'm just going to go with the Destined Poro Iceborne Legacy and kind of hope for the best. The Iceborne Legacies, I mean, they can be okay, right? You can use it as a combat trick and preserve some stats, or you can cast it on Braum or something, but I definitely prefer it to be Poro Snacks. But here, not passing up on the Proto or the Mighty. Got to have these early game plays for us. Pretty easy one here where we pick up the Fabled Poro. Just another set of turds otherwise, right? Salt Spire's pretty bad. The Tomb and the Marauder we don't really want. Okay, so interesting. How do we feel about this one? I'm leaning towards this Rockhopper Desert Naturalist, just picking up some of the interactivity with the Rockhopper. Again, it's like Destined Poro is fairly weak. We'll play it if we have to, but we'd really just prefer to be having Lonely Poros as our 1-drop. They Who Endure is a bit of a turd. I would prefer to have Ruin Runner compared to They Who Endure, and this at least gives us some stats to do stuff with in the early game. So I don't think this is a world where we want It That Stares, just to not a kind of control decky kind of thing. All right, Iceborne Legacy. We're up to 3. I mean, I'm not passing on the Lonely Poro, but man, this is no snacks, all legacies. I got you. Okay, second Fabled. This is like turning into like a reasonable collection of cards, but we're certainly going to need some trade work here. We have like a million 4-drops. We don't have the boosting cards that we want, but maybe we'll just be playing Iceborne Legacy on Fabled Poro, because those are the only ones that are turning up here. Okay, things are starting to improve as we get through the draft. With this, we're definitely not taking the Shurima cards. If we're taking a Mighty Poro, I would prefer to pick it with Fury of the North, but we already have 3 of those, and so I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the Heart of Luft here to ensure that we don't stack too heavily on those. With this, I am actually kind of interested in Voice of the Risen. There is the pack mentality. This is a very good game ender. But I just feel like we can get another pack mentality if we want, where we're never going to see another Voice of the Risen. And it can be, Sivir is a pretty easy flip. Braum is a not impossible flip. And just giving all of our Poros this giant boost actually seems pretty powerful. So I'm going to go with her here. Again, I wouldn't be upset to have a pack mentality. It's a very good game closer, but I don't think we have to take it there. You usually get offered one up in the trades. And then with this last one, we can take the shared spoils. That's okay. I don't really want to entreat, take heart. It is, a nice combo with Braum. You can see his giant biceps hanging out in the picture, but I'm not a huge fan of these. Whereas the stacking these proto Poros is making the Iceborne Legacy look right. And okay, as expeditions close, we do have to come out and just pick up some Battle Furies. I mean, I am on board with that. Definitely about to have some fun with this one. And so, even though the game is leaving us, we do have to continue to live the pay-to-win lifestyle. Let's take a peek at what lives out here, see what we can do. Oh, the Destined Poro, perfect. All right. Really surprised we haven't leveled this one up before, but definitely ready to do it now. Okay, so yeah, lots of things to chat about as we make our way through the video. I was so ready to talk about like the Super Bowl and stuff, and then I was just so completely taken off guard by by expeditions being removed. It's kind of like I didn't think in terms of like I could see the writing on the wall. Like I think the thing the expedition always kind of had going for it was that you could buy in with coins, and whether or not you do that just out of ignorance, you don't know how easy it is to get your collection together, or it's just $1, so who gives a fuck, or whatever your ideal is. I figured that they had to be like grinding some amount of money out of just kind of the coin factor. And so, if they're, just, it's so, like, ultimately what was really surprising to me was that they didn't just, like, leave the game around. Like, they weren't generating enough revenue off of, like, the coins or whatever to make it worthwhile to keep. Just like 1 or 2 people or however many it would take to keep it up and running, right? I can't imagine it takes a team of 5 or 6 people to keep, like, the buckets together. And so I thought that was ultimately, like, super surprising that they, didn't say, hey, we're not going to support this anymore, and we're going to come up with, we're going to announce an announcement in a year, or if, or what. But that was really taking me off guard with just the complete removal of the format. It just seems like you've invested like so much money into it and have it like in such a serviceable state. It's just wild that it's not even profitable just to maintain the barest level of support for it. But who knows? I mean, it must have just been wildly unpopular. And I get the kind of the idea in that it's a it's a draft format, and Path of Champions is very similar to a draft format, and so there's a lot of overlap between the two. But yeah, it was pretty wild just seeing it completely go away. But all right, here, I don't think we get too much this turn by just adding the Fabled, so I'm going to open with our Mighty. It shouldn't be too many positive interactions from our opponent. Then we can add 3 dudes to the board and then just hit the Mega Fabled next turn. The kind of like thing I think we need to shape ourselves up to, though, is actually the Battle Fury. And so if we're going to be coming back 2 turns from now, right, and being ready to Battle Fury, we need to make up 2 mana for that. So if we're going to play the Fabled next turn, we can bank 1. And so here we should be good to just play like 2 mana worth of cards. What do we hit? Poro Fly? Parlay, that's kind of sad. I was ready to drop all of these stats on you. This is definitely where we'd rather be seeing a Poro snack as opposed to a Iceborne Legacy. Just boosting everything would be so good here. All right, check all my abilities. What'd we hit here? Elusive, cool. Fearsome, okay. Fearsome again. Impact tough, and then tough on the Fabled. Good, come out here and block, right? we'll have to skip over that one. Okay. I can't believe this is like ever a thought. And do we want to pop spiral stairs with the naturalist? I don't think so. We're going to get so much stats going off of these Battle Furies. It's like we definitely get to win the combat against one of these. Like, I mean, I guess we can't play like Battle Fury and just get hushed, which is ultimately kind of shitty. But I think this should be good here. No hush. No hush, please. All right. And that should get us pretty close to victory, right? There's the silence. A little sad, taking our Battle Fury away. I was so ready for those sweet Battle Fury hits, but you know, some people don't like to have fun. You just can't get behind it when they're like that. Astral protection, is that enough? Apparently it is. Jesus. All right, my dude. He's going all in on this dude way better than anything we're doing. Who's gonna overwhelm us for 6? All right. Man, this naturalist is upset that we didn't take down the spiral stairs. And a Fury of the North. Okay, let's at least start with a Poro. This is slightly awkward in that our hand is so expensive. Takes to line him up. It is interesting that the Fabled has Challenger. Targets for this aren't good. He can kill our Proto Poro. It's not a big deal. He says, nah, man, go and face. Okay, so how bad is this? He's like very clearly lining up to just kill us next turn with the Boxtopus Overwhelm. And so we have like 2 ways to go about it. We can add another Fabled this turn. We can try and just kind of like limit the challenges. And then save the Fury of the North for next turn, or we can try and take it down with Fury of the North here. I think this Fury of the North is just like way too dangerous, though. So let's add the second Fabled, see what stats we hit. Are you fucking kidding me? He hits the rally? What did he even do to damages this turn? What did I forget? Oh, he knocked him down. Okay. I thought he was just doing it because his cards were so terrible and he didn't want to lose out on the powder keg. All right. So I don't think these scout attacks are very good. We just dead? Well, we're not just dead. He needs another like overwhelm, but we're probably dead next turn. So let's keep our. Did we lose our elusive one? Yep. Fuck. Like I don't know what else to say about this board. We just completely got boomed this game. I think that's just like where we have to stop. We have to be ready to block after this. We're just dead, right? We can't deal with his elusive. Okay. Wow. That one was not on my radar. I did not expect any of that collection of cards to be coming at us. That was completely savage. But let's see if we can't get some upgrades here. Definitely don't want any more Iceborne Legacies. Let's pick up this Mighty Poro, though, in place of the Chimera. Boost up our early game a little bit. Man, that was not expected what I was expecting to see come out of those Soraka cards. I'm curious how that game would have panned out if we had just played the Spiral Stairs and played it a little bit slower. Like, that game was the issue you run into where you don't have the Poro snacks, right? Where you just can't threaten to do anything with your units. You have a bunch of like 1/1s and 2/2s with 3 and 4 abilities, but those abilities aren't enough to carry them through a combat. And then the Poro snacks are what lets them grow up into that real strength. But we didn't see any, so we're kind of stuck with this Iceborne Legacy plan that's just not as good. All right, got to take the full mulligan here. Find something a little bit cheaper to do. Much better. We probably should have just played to getting a Battle Fury kill, but that wasn't as fun. That was definitely a cool play that we lined up. All right, Proto Poro is ready for all the damage to your opponent cards. Get those double hits in. Get your Udyr mega leveled. He's ready for it. Okay. Well, this isn't as juicy of a target for the Desert Naturalist, but we could potentially take down the Frozen Thrall. He's probably going to be doing some kind of things with it, with this Lysandra base deck. Okay. Braum is here. I don't think we really want to put the vulnerable onto Braum. Let's just go ahead and blow up the Warlord Palace. He's going to get another one right away, right? But this at least like slows down his turn quite a bit. Like we get rid of the thing if he wants to. He has to get the strike to summon the palace. So if he wants to do a shaped stone before he attacks, he's a little bit further away from leveling that up. Yep, this is all fine. All fine, I tell you. Sure. Makes me feel a little bit safer. Just killing off cards we don't really care about, just trading back and forth a little bit. Let's see what we can do with the Braum. Can he do like +3 at this point? It's really tough to do. He has to have 2 combat tricks to deal 3 damage to Braum. So we'll go for the additional tick of damage here. And then we'll get to see if we can't start doing stuff with these Iceborne Legacies. Gotta get scary here. Both of these landmarks are flipping much faster than I was really happy about. But if he starts getting sassy here, we're gonna boom him with this Battle Fury. boom him with the Iceborne Legacies. So if we're wanting to play Iceborne Legacy, it's 5. We can still add Voice of the Risen, and I think that's close enough to good. Should be able to get the Braum to flip next turn, assuming nothing goes wrong here. What do we have to worry about? We'd have to worry about like a grappling hook. And he has to like physically have them, right? He only has 1 copy of action right now. Oh, this is so brutal if this fails. Alright, Braum, grow a little bit. No strikes, please. No strikes. Okay, we survived through that turn. So in what world can we just like Iceborne Legacy Braum again? I mean, I think that's where we're at. This hand isn't really doing much else. That'll go ahead and get him to flip, and then he'll have the 5 attack needed to take down the Bruiser. I can't... It's tough, right? I can't imagine that he's able to do enough combat tricks to take Braum down here, but if he has like a siphoning strike or whatever, and he's able to like put the 5 damage onto Braum and then strike him for another 5. That's pretty painful, but he should be up to 11 now, right? Okay, let's go for it. So he needs like a combat trick and a strike to punch through this, right? Because Braum will flip, he'll have 11 health now. If he didn't play the trick there, I feel a little bit better about the possibilities, but right, if he takes away one of his tick-ups for the Warlord's Horde. That's unfortunate we don't have the Iceborne Legacies to deliver on these mighty Poros. Everything's been spent on Braum. Okay. I had to stop and drink my water, and then I saw that ability coming across the board, and I was like, oh no, this is a disaster. But it was just the weight of judgment. That's fine. That one's fine. Oh, now we have the Iceborne Legacy for our mighties. Okay. Might get a little something out of that. It's not like really incentivized to attack here. If he was worried about attacking in the previous turn, I have to imagine he's a little bit skeptical now. Okay, we can take a bit of this. Let's be like greedy and see if we want to, if we can get a good Battle Fury somewhere. Right, if he attacks with everything, and we could put Braum in front of 8-3 and put Mighty Poro in front of 4-4, and then get the good hook. You're still short, my dude. I guess he's blasting in big with the Predator. But which would this be? 15 if we just take the damage to the left? Okay. See if we can't do a thing or two here. All right, so what is our new angle now? We hit we hit Lifesteal, which is pretty interesting on this mighty. We also hit Spell Shield, and so it's like, how do we feel in terms of, do we want to just go for a Battle Fury play, or do we want to roll up a big Heart of Fluff? Heart of Fluff would be a 10, 12, 16, a 16, 16 Overwhelm, Spell Shield, and all the like. I think this is safe. And we can still drop a Weight of Judgment onto his 5/5. We can hook his next biggest health in the Ruin Runner. Think we might have gotten there. Maybe. We should at least be like out of reach of dying, though, right? if we're about to gain 16 off of the Heart of Fluff, I think we're pretty okay. That's the stuff right there, isn't it? Sign up for the memes, please. Excellent, excellent. All right, well, we got a win. That's infinitely more than our previous video. Tied for 2 ago. And all right, beautiful. I'm not amped about picking up a 4th Fury of the North, but we got to start hitting these Poro snacks. You can like see where things are improving when we're boosting stuff with the Iceborne Legacies, and then it's just kind of like, well, what if we're boosting all of our units instead of just one? And so it's such a powerful addition here. Okay, and so, yeah, I know all you football lovers are out there wondering on our take on the Super Bowl. It was fine, you know. I felt like the second half was what I like really expected throughout the majority of the game, to where the Rams defense really just had their way with the Bengals, and that's ultimately, what I feel like happened to the Chiefs last year. The Chiefs just had their offensive line get annihilated, and then there was just nothing that they could do offensively. And then this year, it was kind of like night and day between the second half and the first half once Aaron Donald and co started having their way with the Bengals offensive line, which is what like really kind of like upset me with the Chiefs game as well. Is like, if you're out there like sacking the quarterback like 6, 7, 8, 9 times in a game, like I think the Rams ended with 7, and I think 6 of them were in the second half. It's just like you're cutting down so much opportunity from your opponent. It's not completely shutting down their offense, but if you on any given drive, if you have to make your first down in 2 plays instead of 1, it's the success rate is just so super low, and so it ultimately that was what kind of upset me about the Chiefs Bengals game, is they were never able to put any pressure on Joe Burrow, and then you could definitely see what happened once the Rams were able to start pulling that off. But the thing that like my ultimate take from that is Joe Burrow is just such a talented dude. He's he's got the charisma. He's got everything that people want to see in an NFL quarterback. And then he's just gonna get killed out there. Like it's like legitimately what could come to be one of the saddest things in the current era of football is the Bengals just don't invest in protecting Joe Burrow, and he just gets his career ended. That I can't think of a situation since like the the late '80s, early '90s football when it was cool to just go out there and try to like physically hurt people. I'm definitely glad that era of football is on its way out, but it definitely feels like a space now to where one of the generational talents in the game, one of the real ambassadors and interesting people, just get his legs blown up. I would 100% not be surprised if the Bengals came out like today or tomorrow and just said that Joe Burrow got his ACL torn and he was able to finish the game off the way his leg got rolled up. And so that was at least like what I felt was the bonus out of that game. It is unfortunate. Odell Beckham Jr. got seriously hurt, but what could have been serious things with like Matt Stafford's ankle that looked disgusting. I'm pretty sure he's still okay, but Joe Burrow's leg that was horrific looking. I have to feel like he really dodged a bullet there if he missed out on serious injury. But back to the action here. Football aside, we took this game plan as to where I like to bank up the 3 mana so we can be ready with Poro snacks this turn. The Sump Dredger's fairly awkward in those terms, but I would like to see if instead we can't just add the Affectionate Poro and then Fury of the North down the Sump Dredger so we can try and build up the Mighty here in a little bit. We could also look to just like Iceborne Legacy the Mighty, but that doesn't seem as good at this stage, right? If we had a Braum in hand, I'd feel a little bit better about it, but I worry about that play just a little bit. So he's going to Spell Slay up the Sentinel, that's fine. Add the Affectionate. Do we just pivot now to doing the snack? I think this is okay. Let's see how he blocks. Now we get the good block because he didn't use the Sump Dredger. That's perfect. Okay. Now if he has to play something like Vile Feast or Unspeakable Horror or whatever, that's fine. Pale Cascade's fine. He just has to spend mana to not improve his board. Now, we do need a little bit more something to do, though. It feels like we're running out of stuff quickly from where our opponents played 2 card advantage cards on us. So, feels like our board should be a little bit stronger after all of that. Okay. And Ezreal. How bad is that? He has the Mystic Shot mana lined up. I mean, I'm not going to spend a spell this turn. I think the question is, do we want to just go ahead and drop the Fabled? Which I would rather wait until next turn to do. Let's just go ahead and pass, see what happens. I was going to say, if he ultimately does something like super weird here, we can still get a good Fury of the North. That's what this looks like. So we get his big boy off board. Dum Dum in the back still gets to grow. We lose our interactivity to take down Ezreal, but I think this is still all fine. See if he wants to tag a Rockhopper. You're more than welcome to. Yep. But now our board kind of sucks. Just a little bit of suck. We need something a little bit more to do here. What happens if we open? I'm just curious if we ever get to deal damage for the shared spoils. We probably don't. Fearsome? Fearsome is kind of interesting, but really stops the Spiderling from blocking the Jubilant. But he would just throw the Bark Beast in front of it. Not close. Ezreal's got 2 ticks on him. Sure. What if we just pass? I kind of like just passing. Let's see if he spends any mana here. Like, him overbanking 1 isn't that big of a deal. We just need a little bit more time here. Second, this is going to be an Iceborne Fabled Poro style game. What do you guys got? Quick attack, Faded, Grant, and Ally. That counts as a target for Faded, right? When we Iceborne Legacy up this Faded Poro. Oh, he's going to bring in the Thunder. Oh man, what an Iceborne Legacy. Interesting. It's got some type of shenanigans are afoot. This is like the clear and obvious question is why wouldn't he just shoot the Rockhopper? Aftershock, okay. Is he going to have another 3 damage spell? That's kind of interesting. Ooh, just a Vile Feast. Not today, Honcho. Not today. This is getting this Ezreal. Oh, I was going to say it's getting him dangerously close to flipping, but it's getting him all the way to flipping, apparently. But hopefully he's too low on cards for him to be super relevant. Shared spoils. Not going to get any card draw off of him. That's the thing that's like essentially 2 dead draws this game. That's what's going to push us over the edge. We haven't been able to just punch in that single point of damage. Okay. Oh boy. All right. We'll just go ahead and chalk that one up to the Have-It-Alls. That's so wild. Like, that's usually how you're able to beat down the Ezreal decks. Like, when it comes to playing Ezreal, the strategy we always talk about having to be able to do is to be able to have units that do targeting. And that is wild that opponent was able to play 6 targetable spells with no units. Because the space that usually leaves you in is you just don't have anything else to do, right? You run into spaces like that game to where he spent 4 spells on one unit, ultimately 2 cards, but after you do all that, you typically just don't have any spells, and then progress stays just fucking bonkers to drop out of a situation like that. But not bad, my dude. So how do we feel here? Like, I want to get rid of these Iceborne Legacies. We have too many of them. They're too awkward. And if we are going to be stuck with them, it is, we want to be stacking Mighty Poros and Fabled Poros, so we at least have a natural unit with more than one copy, right? We don't want to be hitting Proto Poros with it. I think we can get rid of this one for the Mighty. The questionable one here is, do we want to get rid of Ricochet? Because this card's just not very good. But I think we can hang on to the bad card to better improve our overall theme here. And it's still some, interactivity. But I think we just hopefully can drive home to the game engine that we're playing Poros. And it says, you're playing Poros, my bro. Here's some Poro snacks. Because they are ultimately the big thing we need to be finding here. This is odd. This feels like the second time in recent memory I've drafted Braum where we just didn't have any Poro herders either. That's another great early game play. If you're passing on the bank to snacks kind of strategy. We're lacking, and it hurts. Hurts, my friends. All right, well, those are Poros. Destined, not that exciting, but he's premium, so he's ready to offer something up this game. All right, and I assume this is some kind of enlightenment karma. That's the karma paired into Freylord. Damn. Kinda messes with our curve, but we can't let him just keep these strikes happening. What up, Braum? Is it plucky? Okay. We can start building up the stuff now. Ooh, interesting. Interesting.
If it was important, they should have built it better.
Just get these stats on board. We're about to come out here and start booming. We get Braum down next turn. We can't add like the second Poro if we want, and then be ready with the snacks. It depends on how things shake up here. Can't interact with this karma, but I think it's okay. So I guess the new question is like, do we even want to bother with Braum? I think we do. I want to get the good Poro out of this. And it's a reasonable spot to stop on the mana here. Okay, I like it. We can also just like chunk in everything, like not worry about losing one of these small units, like losing the Lonely, and then getting a shared spoils hit. So like, how upset are we if we lose to Braum? Like if Braum dies here, it's not that bad. I think if we can get a Fury of the North and a spell, then it's a pretty good deal. Let's prevent. There could be like Rush would be the 1 mana combat trick. Let's just at least stay away from Rush just to be a little bit safe. I don't think I'm too worried about making him flip as fast as we can. Okay, sure. I was waiting on the incoming shatter. The bane of Braum is when the opponent decides they're going to they're going to cast their good frostbite spells onto our 0 power unit. Okay. We'll have to see how that plays out with the old Galio. Is getting boomed by the the 0 mana combat cards. Interesting. You are safe with Braum. So, like, what spells would we be worried about here? The big one would be a Harsh Winds. And the thing I would want to play around would be Brittle Steel. So I'm leaning towards just like playing the Poro snacks and then blocking with the Mighty. And if we get hit with a Harsh Winds, then it's okay. But ideally here, if he was counting on a Brittle Steel, then this will fail, and then we can still just like fill out our board pretty easily from here. Yep. So at the end of the day, it just kind of feels like a 3 mana for 3 mana trade. It's not that bad. Now the new question is, do we want to get Sivir going, or do we want to just stack these other Poros? That's the tough one here. How big are you? 3/6, 2/2, 2/2? The 2/2s aren't that interesting. Let's just play Sivir. This leaves us with a pretty good open attack. Now we pick up Mighty. That changes things. Slam them in here. These shits are going to be ready for battle. Dragon's Rage? Are you serious? Okay. I guess that wasn't good enough. I guess he... Oh, man. So what happened? Our Braum flips, but he goes back to hand? Okay. Alright. I guess he didn't do the mathematics. He might have gone to the FTP bus school of mathematics, and sometimes 6 doesn't equal 5. All right. We are not ended our trial continues. So this is an interesting one. Interesting. The Poro sled is just incredibly powerful, right? It's tough for these decks to find good top end. And this is, pretty much it. Just generating these Poros that also have the boost from the Poro snacks. But we're like a little far away from these things being good. Or I'm sorry, a little far away from the generated Poros being good because we only have one snack. But on the flip side here, Destined Poro is pretty bad, right? Flipping into Exalted Poro is just, it's a little bit tough to pull off. Like, I'm okay with Proto Poro, especially since we have two shared spoils. Lonely Poro, of course, fantastic. Destined Poro is just not anything to write home about. So I think I'm going to go for the power level here. I'm really wanting this Poro Herder, though, is kind of the downside to this one. But picking up that top end, I guess it's accepted that we're in Poros, right? If it's throwing the sled our way. I don't think we can hang on to Braum here. Maybe we could. Maybe we could. We have all those Iceborne legacies and everything. Okay. But yeah, no other really good Super Bowl takes. Poor Joe Burrow. Hope he doesn't get killed. The halftime show was quite nostalgic. I think that was a lot of early high school era musics for me, and so that was nice to see them come out. And then I was glad ultimately that the game wasn't just like flipped in terms of the halves to where the Bengals just get annihilated in the first half, and it's like a 21-3 first half, and then just nobody cares about the second. It at least kept it interesting the whole way. The final drives were kind of interesting, so all in all was fairly enjoyable in my books. One of my favorites though was back in West Virginia. Used to hang around with a bunch of Patriots bandwagoners. That's what you used to get, it's like, oh, I've always liked the Patriots. No, you fucking haven't. You just watch the team that wins all the games. It's like, this is like the classic bandwagon scenario. And I can't remember who they're playing. It was like the Falcons or whatever, to where the Patriots made like their 24-point comeback. And it was just they were like so ultra salty at the end of the first half. They were all ready to go home. They were just like being sad drunks, and then as the as the tables turned, they were like, "Oh, I knew it was like this. It was like this the whole way." It's like, "Fuck you, no, you weren't. You all were sad. You had no faith in Tom Brady. You were ready to go home. He came back and brought in the big victories." So, is this bringing in the big remembrance plays? Pantheon Quinn with the remembrance. Odd. Alright, so I don't want it to be like mega obvious that we have the Fury of the North. It's very obvious that like some kind of shenanigans are afoot if we just start dropping like Mighty Poro directly into this thing. And so the thing I like about this board is if we feel like we want to play Fury of the North, we can, and use it to take down the Swiftwing Lancer. But this also like presents to an opponent just like a board of shit, right? And so if he wants to come down here and actually like hook one of these units, I'm pretty okay with it, right? The Fury of the North is a pretty dangerous line against a Pantheon deck. So yeah, sure, that's fine. Let's add in Braum. Or do we want to just add in the Mighty and then like the downside to these plays are we want to get the Poro sled going, but we also need to be able to Fury of the North. And so I think Braum is okay here. We got to like watch out for single combat kind of cards, but a lot of strength we're generating here. He's surprised. Oh, he doesn't gem. Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, we've been a little sloppy with the mana. I don't think anyone was going to be like, I bet opponent plays a 3/6 this turn. So, I think that's okay. we can throw away some of our smaller units here and build up to this fabled Poro sled as well. So we need to find a snacker, and Iceborne Legacy is kind of our problem here. Iceborne Legacy would be pretty choice on this board.
Nothing gets between me and my mark.
Okay. This should be able to generate another good block. Wow, that was not on the radar.
Scouting ahead.
Huh.
Celestial power.
It's like, so what's his trick here, right? He clearly has a trick. If it's, I'm curious if it wasn't a riposte, right? Like, why would he play Quinn and make that bird attack and then not riposte? That's the thing that, like, strikes me as a little odd here. I guess it makes the Poro sled look like an awkward block in front of Quinn. But... That's all strange to me. There's our easy one. Do we... yeah, I think the real question is, do we just give up on Braum? Kind of okay with it. He's done his relevance to this point. And this also plays around the riposte, right? The Quinn can't riposte down our sled. Alright, but now we need one of those Iceborne Legacies. Something to make this combat juicy. Got it.
They say these were from the Protector himself.
Ricochet. Huh. It's like huh, what can we do with this? Maybe it'll get to clean up something. It's not super ideal in the face of all these gems, but maybe it'll do something. What are you thinking about? You know what you were going to pick before you played it. It's not like the moon weapons change. You're not looking at these and going, oh, there's a new moon weapon in here. Interesting. So what do we got? We got Scout on the little Poro. We picked up a Regenerate, a Challenger, and an Augment amongst... Oh, we hit Lifesteal. We hit Augment on the Poro sled. Okay. Many of these attacks are now bad. I mean, I guess... Can, like, hook the 5-3? It's like I'm envisioning us, like, needing to get a good Ricochet now. Can't do it. I think we just have to, like, hope. We have to pick up a Poro Snack or pick up a Iceborne Legacy. Our stats are just too small. This is one of the problems when you don't have all the Poro Snacks in your deck. Sure. 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 The big decisions are being made. Uh-oh. Cancel it all. He says, nah, man, I ain't doing any of that shit.
I thought there was something good to see.
Alright, dude. That's it? That feels like a win. Like he's got to play some gems now. Okay, maybe we can clear through this. I think we just have to open. Right? He's got to have good blocks, but gotta have something go well here.
I see something.
Yep. Making some of them value blocks and stuff. Takes him to 9. Alright. Come on, Ricochet. I believe in you.
Confine and contain.
Okay. Here comes my dude. Oh, this is going to hit so perfect. We're going to love it. Squeeze them butt cheeks and start to hope. Are you kidding me? Oh, God. Dude doesn't like to have fun. I don't even want to see how they hit. Fucking Ranger's Resolve, please. We're out here doing the cool stuff, dropping Ranger's Resolves. That's... Alright. Whatever, dude. But here, got a Poro snack. That's what we're missing. That's the big the big thing we need. Alright. So yeah, I've been thinking on it like more and more and what I want to do with the future here. It's like here's the struggle I live with the channel. It's like we just took the adventure into Magic and I didn't really like it. It's just it's not to say the game's bad. It's just like after playing oh, this hand sucks. Just like after playing Runeterra, like Magic is ultimately just super frustrating. I'd rather be playing a Hearthstone or any of these games to where the resource system isn't baked into the deck. I think that just leads into way more unfun situations than it brings up fun situations. And so trying to avoid those kind of games. So it's like I don't want to jump into Magic. And then I have like a lot of problems with Blizzard as a company. And it's like I've took like a 5-year hiatus from Blizzard back during the Blitzchung era of things. And I've like recently returned to play some Battlegrounds, but it's like I could kind of justify in feeling okay and just playing Battlegrounds, but it felt pretty terrible to like give them money. And it's like I feel like I might be going back to that. I might be breaking the vow and jumping back into the back into the abyss of Hearthstone. But that's like a kind of like a point of contention with me is I don't like how they operate at a large level. And so then it's like I look at these other games. People mention Shadowverse. It's like I can't just get into the anime thing. That's just not something I'm super interested in. And then let's hook Ren. Right? I don't think we're gonna Fury of the North this turn. Maybe we do Fury of the North this turn, but I'd rather wait until the combat happens. Let's just hit with these. It's not the end of the world if we don't get a Fury of the North this turn. But I looked at Shadowverse. It might be a great game, but the anime pictures and stuff I don't really get into. It's just not something I'm super interested in. You see a game like Eternal, which I played for a bit. It has kind of the Magic feel to it, but they've kind of fixed some of the problems. But it doesn't feel like there's a very large community. I can't tell with like Eternal if it's on the way out. Like the core or a large part of the core at Direwolf Digital was the Channel Fireball guys, right? So here let's drop Fabled here. We just have to be on board, and this is a good blocker. And those, it seems like the majority of the Channel Fireball guys left to start up Good Luck Games or whatever the company is that makes Storybook Brawl. And so it's just kind of like one of those spaces to where Eternal was fun. I did play it for a bit, but I'm not really sure of the longevity. They did just bring in, and I think they brought Patrick Sullivan in, if you're familiar with the Magic caster from the Star City Tour. He's been in the game development with other games for quite some time. And it seems like Cedric Phillips might be following him along. But it's no way to tell if that's specific to Eternal or if they have a new digital project in the wings. And so it's all in all, it's pretty tough for me in trying to find a new game to play in terms of what to do and which one we want to get and all the likes of that. But here, let's jump in little to big. We need something to put in front of Braum. Let's just put one of these two attack units here. And then I'm pretty okay with any of these other blocks, right? The only good block it looks like he's getting is on the Fabled Poro, but we have all of these Fury of the Norths we need to play. If we can get a Fury of the North Iceborne Legacy play this turn, that should be huge. And we also kind of want one unit to die, right? Is Braum gonna? No, Braum's not going to generate a unit. All right. Well, everything we want's coming together here. Kills his whole board except that one thing. And then everything we have looks pretty strong. Okay. Gonna be Shadow Shift. Okay, I thought this was gonna be like a Vengeance on Sivir, which would have been kind of scary, but no, this is good. I guess that would have been the one we should have pushed down. I have to see how this math works. If we could have given the 2/4 quick attack, but I think this is okay. Check all your animations. But no, there's all those, and then like I'm not opposed to sticking around with Runeterra. I have to kind of like really build myself up to want to switch from playing limited formats to playing constructed. I might give it a shot and see how it feels. But then kind of like my big thing is I don't really want to be switching into auto battlers. I love them as a game and an archetype kind of field, but that's kind of where my like casual space is now. And so when I just want to play a game and not think about it, I jump into the auto battlers. To whereas I'm gonna sit around and try and teach and all that stuff, I prefer that to be in a kind of a digital card game. And so we'll see. I'm still in the stage of figuring things out. All right, what are we doing with this attack? Right, we have decent block onto Hecarim. Like if we want to do this, that seems pretty decent. With the Braum, I want to be pretty careful with Sivir. She's going to be our kind of our game ender next turn. Just giving everything quick attack shit in the game. We just need to make sure we don't die here. And so let's see how close we even are to lethals here. Like I think this one's probably fine. We do have this lifesteal bro. That's probably who we want to put down here to the left. Let me make sure, like, do we gain that health? This deals the damage to something else, right? It takes damage for me. Okay.
Make it worth my while.
Just don't need to block with Sivir. Okay. Lifesteal, fearsome, quick attack. What's that even do? Did that do something? Is that a valid question? Right? Did that actually do something? All right, I think we're okay now. We got a lot of overwhelm out here. We'll hook the Hecarim with Braum. See where this gets us. Just to take away the most health he can have in front of our blockers here. But we got all these sweet spell shielded quick attacks now. I think we have to be fine. Getting them boomed. Booming them real good. I don't think that does anything. All right, cool. The battle has been won. So yeah, it's weird. It's like I'm not opposed to playing like one of the smaller games. Like there is, you know, kind of like the big two and Magic and Hearthstone, and then here we go, Poro, Hoarder, and Fabled. That's pretty easy take. But there has to just be kind of like, I have to feel like it's, you know, supported regularly and there is some kind of like existing community to it. I don't want to like jump into some game and play their, you know, limited format and then there's just like 9 people that play and we have to sit in like 3-hour queues just to get the games like rolling along. I think that would ultimately be a bit of a downer. And so I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I kind of feel like we're gonna land in Hearthstone. I'm gonna have to look at the Hearthstone duels. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it. I don't know if I want to just like jump into Arena, but it's like I'm fairly confident that I don't want to go and play Magic cards. Again, that was ultimately just kind of, it was kind of frustrating in that I don't like the resource system, and then it's also fucking expensive. However, people manage to stay infinite in Magic Online is beyond me. So, well, I get it in Magic Online, like digital, like I guess MTGO. In Arena, I don't get it. So, we'll see. But here, this is going fine. This Boxtopus is a bit of an annoyance, but I think we're coming together okay. Misfortune Shin Fiora.
I'm one of the good guys, but not.
I don't think he ever blocks here with Misfortune.
Don't get
Oh my gosh, he did. Wow. Okay. Well, we chunk in a point of damage. It's not something that people usually do in risking Misfortune like that. But we're about to build back up. We did have this like expensive ass draw here, which is kind of a pain, but we can start to get the various Poros down now. Looking at like the Mighty plus an Iceborne Legacy next turn. I mean, I wonder if if it's better to just try and save the Iceborne Legacy for Sivir, especially now that we drew Poros next. Right, he's going to try and come up with some kind of shenanigans play to hook Sivir down, but if she's the one that we get +2/+2, that could be powerful. All right, where's he going to be a lame-o? Down here under the Sivir? Not anything we can do about that. Right, we can only get her to 5 health with the Legacy. Okay. He was thinking on it. I wonder if he has a Ranger's Resolve as well. Huh. Oh. It's not the most ideal place for this Poro to be, but we might boom him here, right? As he's gonna try and play Misfortune cards. That feels like it was probably a little ambitious. Why wouldn't you just hook the Mighty? Okay.
Love ya.
Can't do anything about that, but it's that. Don't do that. I don't know what else to say about that. That's very that's very dangerous to just take in the units like that. So how do we want to do this now? Like, the Ruin Runner seems okay. I think this might be one of these turns though, where we play the Ruin Runner and then just have to kind of like back out of it. But we should at least get like one good attack here. We should get a shared spoils after the fact. I think this is okay. Getting big ol' overwhelm damage in. More Mighties. What up? 2 attacks from this point with Misfortune.
Looks like I'm ready. Bye-bye.
There's a big old boy in the Tasty Feyfolk. This is. I thought we were getting pretty close to doing some overwhelm damage, and that was not the case. How bad is this? I think we just have to risk it. Like, he's gonna have a riposte or something here, like almost every time, but we can't just take that gigantic hit. This is so bad. One-time dealer. Here comes that Ranger's Resolve we were expecting, right? No? Okay. Alright, we aced the squad. Opponent does not seem too happy with that outcome.
Take a stance and hold it.
opponent's gonna be out there. He's like, man, I was playing FTP Bust in one of the finale videos, and he he boomed me so hard with a ricochet. I thought he liked to have fun, and boy was I wrong. Do we want to hit with the squad to give this thing the keywords? Probably not. That seems less than ideal. I mean, we do have the Heart of Fluft in hand to try and roll all this up, but I don't think like we're worried about this too much anymore. Like the best this is going to be is a prismatic barrier. Okay. Braum shows up. Bright Steel. Oh Jesus. I mean, I think we're okay here, but nobody's ever excited about seeing Bright Steel formation roll onto the board. Alright, so where are we at in terms of lethal? We unfortunately didn't get to use the Braum this turn. We can hook the Bright Steel with Braum and try to kill with Heart of Fluft. It's just a matter of how much can we overwhelm, right? So we got like 5, how much is this on board? 4, 7, 8, 9, plus 5, 14. So we could kill through a 2. Okay. I think he gets another bonus, yeah, once he actually comes on board from the Poro snack. So we can kill through these 2 healthers. We can. The idea is to hook Braum with the, or hook the Bright Steel with the Braum. We can run into serious problems though if he has like a recall or something. Well, we can't lethal now, right? If we hook the Bright Steel with Braum, he's just going to put the Lancer in front. But we can still make this play. We'll get the Poro. He has to block the Heart of the Fluft of Poros with something. And that hopefully lines us up to kill a turn or 2 from now. I'm kind of surprised he didn't block with a River Shaper. Like, picking up a spell here seems particularly good for him. Oh, well, I guess we would have lethaled him, right? that's the reason that play didn't happen. The big boy's still ready to block the Bright Steel. He come down and get in front of that 9/9. Okay. You can hook Braum and stuff. It's just got the 1 card. Alright. So we can do this. He has an elite in his hand, right? So this should be safe. He has the card that he killed off of, or the last breath he got off of the thing. Okay. And we didn't protect Braum because I want to try and punch through next turn. So if something goes wrong, like we attack, he has a bounce spell for like one of them. I want to be able to try and punch through this damage with the Iceborne if we need to. Fucking kidding me. Alright, that's why I was worried about him drawing cards. Fuck. Need the Braum back now. Well, I guess we drew a combat trick to try and get the kill, but dropping them emotes. Does he have the answer in hand already? I love beating down somebody when they make the premature emote. Fuck. Alright. So man, I mean, we could have, right? We could have protected Braum and then used Braum to hook the Bright Steel, but I was expecting to have 2 units there, him having some kind of trick or something for one, and then being able to punch through with the other one. But wasn't quite enough. So, coming out of this one, I don't want more Heart of Fluffs. I'm happy enough with just like the one, but these shared spoils have been okay. Boomerang Blade is kind of interesting. Just give us some kind of interactivity. The Rockhopper hasn't played that nicely here today, and then I don't want more Fury of the North. I think this is okay with the Boomerang Blade. 14 4-drops, it's insane. I don't know if I've ever had that many before. Jesus. Okay. So yeah, it was interesting. Like, there's those of you that have been around for a while and used to play the Lab of Legends before it was removed from the game. I kind of like doing those, right? It was something to do if I had a bit of free time. Make a video with the Lab of Legends. It was wildly popular. That's why I am not surprised that the Path of Champions is just way more popular than Expedition. Those were the videos that I would, regularly pull in a few thousand views on, as to where Expedition usually hangs around 200. But I was wanting to get kind of like back to that, so it's just like a little bit of side content that isn't playing Expedition all the time, and so I kind of wanted to step in and do some work with deck builders. Like, I love the deck builders, Slay the Spire being the most common one, but there's lots of other games out there that aren't Slay the Spire that are good. Like, I've had a lot of fun playing Monster Train. I've had a non-zero amount of fun playing Griftlands, and then there's a new one now, Castle Morihisa, which should be out. I think it comes out now. I think it came out on like Valentine's Day. It may come out on like the 16th. I don't know. They released a demo for it on Steam. Played through it. It was very Slay the Spire-esque, but different enough to be interesting. And so I wanted to kind of like do that as the side project. And that's one of those things. I'll probably get that kind of like started up here soon. I haven't decided. I don't like. It's not something I think I want to do completely, but it's something nice to kind of like bridge the gap between some of this stuff. Because I do really like the kind of competitive ladders type things. But that's one of these you'll probably see videos roll out with in the upcoming future. I think is with Castle Morihisa. I think I'm pronouncing that one right, and it's got a lot of letters in the name. I mean, I don't know. I've never I've never been a real pro at pronouncing these things, and so but it was fun. I played through the demo a few times, and it's wild to me, like when you see things like Slay the Spire and you see things like Castle Morihisa and the like, to where it gets like more difficult as you progress, right? You can pick the Ascensions and Slay the Spire, and that's what wild to me in terms of Path of Champions is it gets easier as you progress, right? You start out and your deck kind of sucks and you don't have any powers, and then as things go on, you get stronger powers, you get better abilities to attach to your champion. You get to kind of pick and choose how you want your deck to look, but it just gets easier from the start, right? When you have no cards, it's the most challenging, and then as you add the upgrades to your champion, it gets easier, and it's just like it's like odd progression to me, and I see where that could be like fun for the more casual types, but it's tough for me in terms of wanting to make content around that kind of thing. It's like there's no like challenge to it for me. It's like, do you want to watch me play this for like 4 hours at level 17 and then watch me play it again for 4 hours at level 18? Like, it's not things that really make a lot of sense to me. And so I haven't been able to kind of like fully grasp like why they would do that. Well, I get why they would do that. It's just it's not something that I really want to kind of get myself attached to. So I don't know. We might find ourselves playing a bit of competitive ladder in Runeterra. I just like hate to give up on the game so early. I love the game so much, but I'm not gonna. I can't wait a year for the announcement that a new format is coming along to wait another year for it to actually appear. Like, it's just too much investment and time just sitting around waiting. All right, well, this is starting to be a little meh. I was hoping to build up a little bit more of a board here and have a little bit scarier state. If we can make it through this turn, it's like probably okay. If we can get the Poro sled down and then follow up with a little bit more. But I'm definitely like a little bit worried here. Curious if we shouldn't just drop the Ruin Runner, right? He probably wants to just play like a good removal, but I mean his good removal here would have to be Crumble. Okay.
Out here, you're moving or you're dead.
We'll add the Overwhelm. We'll add the Poro Sled and the Sinister next turn.
Take a look at this.
Let's see where that gets us. We at least have some decent fodder for Kindred to get involved with in the smaller plays that we have. Okay. The Iceborne Legacy. I don't think this is going to be an Iceborne Legacy. It just seems much more powerful dropping the Poro Sled. We do have to worry about a Vengeance now, which is kind of meh. I have to imagine if he just passes it back to us, this Sled's about to get popped with Vengeance, but... What's our other option here? Just to attack with everything and try to do an Iceborne? That seems terrible. Okay. So, if... fuck. So do we just attack with the big boys here? I mean, we can attack with the Jubilant. This Kindred's going to flip either way. It's just if we get, like, overly aggressive with this, then he's going to flip his Lucian as well. And I think that just kind of is what it is. We've given up on our opportunities to, like, Weight of Judgment Lucian. And now I think we're about to pay the piper for it. But let's at least, like, wear out this board. I know, Kitty, this isn't looking good. She's up here. I don't know. I'm not just talking to myself. We got a kitty that just made an appearance. But I think we might have enough board to get through this for a turn. As long as we just like don't die next turn, I think we might be okay. But dealing with this Radiant is a bit of a pain in the dick.
Please, I have connections.
Takes him to 6 with a flipped Lucian, then Kindred will flip at the end of the turn. Alright. Takes him to 4. Zeta! That's what Lucian says. Zeta! Kitty! His attacks here are terrible, though. Like, he has the free attack with Kindred, but we can just block with the unit that's going to die anyways. But his other attacks are no good. He's out of mana, and we have this Poro Sled. I mean, I guess he could attack with Lucian into the Sled. It's a little suspect. We'll suspect it in a kitty. Brings in the Radiant. Why? Okay. We could have just blocked with the little guy, but I want to get this thing off the board. There's the Kindred flip, sure. I guess the idea behind that would be helping this Lucian survive an attack. No, that's not good. We need to get wide here, and we're just not going to be able to do it. Yeah, this one's done. We probably should have just lined this up to where we took the Lucian down, or attempted to take the Lucian down. But if we're not like getting wide and taking advantage of this board, then we're just never gonna get ahead. Can we block Lucian with the Jubilant and then have the Kindred ability get spell shielded? Is that how that works? Nope, just eats through it. Fuck. What if we do this? Does it just pop the unit? Nope. Man, this is horrible. Or What if we do this? What if we Iceborne Legacy down here to the right? So we can try and take down the Lucian. Now, in terms of Kindred, we're going to lose our unit anyways, so we'll go ahead and snap that block off. I think we're probably dead here, but... oh, come on, kitty. It's time to get up. Yeah, if he has some kind of play, we're just hosed. But that's tough. Like, you know, we're never going to, like, out-control deck a Kindred, and you can usually, like, do combats with these Kindreds when you have multiples of... like the Lonely Poros, right? You can usually just like have your small units on board, like soaking up the Kindred thing until you can go big with the snacks. But we weren't able to like really assemble all the stuff that we needed. We had like a bit of a deck malfunction here in terms of what just showed up. And that's, you know, kind of one of the struggles when you're trying to build towards the Poro Snacks deck, but you don't see any Poro Snacks in the draft, right? You do see a lot of this style like win-loss, 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 win-loss kind of thing is your deck isn't really powered up yet. And we ran into a bit of a drafting problem. And so it's okay. You know, I think we could have taken a different strategy there. I'm not sure if we would have been able to grind that out a little bit more had we chosen to just Weight of Judgment the Lucian and then try and fight through the Kindred. But like we're so drained out on cards and our deck doesn't have the card advantage aspects to it, right? Typically, you're looking to have like 3 or 4 or 5 Lonely Poros and then 2 or 3 or 4 Poro Herders. And that does wonders in terms of just adding stuff to your hand, right? Because when you're adding all these little Poros to your hand and the Poro Snacks has boosted them, then you're feels like you're drawing real cards, right? So even if it's like turn 5 and you play a Lonely Poro, it's not great. But if you're drawing a 4/4 instead of drawing a 1/1, then it feels kind of nice. And so, yeah, just a distinct lack of the card advantage Poros. And then we have like a lot of awkward numbers in here as well. Like 4 Fury of the Norths is too much. The Iceborne Legacies we'd prefer to have 0. And then things like Ruin Runner, Ricochet, Boomerang Blade we would just prefer to not have, right? It's not a deck to where you're really trying to cast a bunch of spells on your opponent. You're trying to just get the big values out of these Poro Snacks, which we were a bit lacking of there. But I still think this was a pretty good run. You know, it's much better than the the goose egg from the previous video, the OTK Goose is Loose, and then in our previous one before that with the Karma, it was a little short on things coming together. And so yeah, those people out there that draft the good card strategies in the 3 factions, they're probably just saying bust. You know, you're a dum dum. We we saw your most recent 3 videos, and you don't know what you're doing. You got to draft the good cards and not draft the build around strategies. And I think we've just had a bit of a low roll across these past few videos. I think this is still the strongest way to go about these things. I'm curious if how things would have. Like, I was trying to remember what our other options were in terms of champions. Like, the Sivir archetype is pretty terrible. There's just nothing that really fits in. You're trying to be kind of a Freylord Allegiance anyways, but the cards like, what's your name? I can't find him. The 1-cost Poro we traded away. It's messed up in some of the trades down here. But like he's just not very good. There's a lot of bad cards in the Sivir archetype, but there's like nothing in the Heimerdinger archetype that would be any good. I'm trying to remember what that 3rd champion was. Oh, it was a Noxus champion. It can be okay. You get the Challenger Poro that way, but kind of the same problem as to where a lot of the spells and a lot of the cards in the archetype don't really mesh with what you're trying to do, right? If we're trying to piece together this strategy where we don't play anything the first 2 turns and then play Mighty Poro on 3 and then spew off a bunch of little Poros on 4, that doesn't work well with the Reforge units and the aggressive Noxus style units. I think that's kind of like the big takeaway I always give with the Poros deck is, you know, you might find yourself with like 6 or 7 1-drops and a bunch of Poro Herders and a lot of this like really early game stuff, but you're by no means an aggressive deck. You're really this is what you would call like an engine deck in Magic, as to where you're trying to assemble the different pieces of your combo, and then once you've assembled like 3 and 4 cards together, you just can't lose. It's just the flip side to that is your engine here is Poro snacks, and so you just need to draw them in multiples, and that is kind of the key to your victory. And so you can spew all those units on the board in the early game. I'm not usually a huge fan of that. That lets your opponent kind of interact with them, whether or not they're playing like Make It Rains or Good Vile Feasts, or just playing a challenger. I prefer to wait until we can at least drop 1 snack and make everyone a 2/2. And so, yeah, again, not the most successful of runs. Maybe we can still hit. We'll never make it into the top 3 on the leaderboard. I think we can call that safe. But as this loads up, I think we're still up in the 4th position here. I don't know if I know we passed Ace. Yeah, I don't think I've seen him around too recently in terms of opponents in Expedition, but I think we might have enough of a run over them to make it to 500 and still keep the lead, but we're never catching up to these people with the 300 wins up here at the top. But man, we've enjoyed it. It's sad. I know LOR Guardian called it quits. I mean, the says season 3 Call of the Mountain up here. We're on that would be like before the Shurima expansion and before Beyond the Bandlewood. So it must have been like over a year since they've called it quits. Expedition just out on the whole, kind of sad. But hey, we're still out here having fun. That was a fun one. I really enjoyed that, and that's where we're going to call it today. So, again, if you have suggestions on where you would like to see the content go, whether or not that would be like Runeterra Constructed, or playing a different game in its limited format, or just kind of anything in general, open for suggestions. But I think we've kind of talked about that throughout the video, where I kind of see things going and what I want to do, and hopefully that kind of fits in line with what some of you would like to see as well. But that is going to do it for us today. Hope everyone enjoyed the trial. You maybe learned how to buff up the Poros a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.